Hello, boys and girls, ladies and gents. This is DafubFilm&TV, and today I have a review for you of episode 1 and 2 of Ahsoka, which is the latest member of the saga of Disney Plus Star Wars shows, which have been how should I put this, rather all over the place in a variety of different ways. My perception of these two episodes may well be quite skewed by my expectations. The quality of the content on Disney Plus has been so uh, mediocre to poor, and not just in overall sense, like, and we've had shows that have been really badly made, Obi-Wan Kenobi, we've had shows that are very badly written, She-Hulk. The list just keeps going on and on and on and on and on. And it's, again, I haven't seen I haven't seen Moon Knight, didn't bother watching Moon Knight. So I can't what's the word to use? Like, well, I can't claim to have any opinion on its quality or lack thereof. But so far in recent memory, we've had Secret Wars, which apparently cost $200 million or more, and is of extremely, where did the money go? I don't know. It's not necessarily a bad show, but there's, for that amount of money, there's no real spectacle. There's no real, adventure to it, no real suspense. It's a very, very, very mid at best, and certainly not worth the money they spent on it. Before that, we've had season 3 of The Mandalorian, which is, again, very, very poor overall compared to, say, season 1 or season 2. The writing is bad. The season is put together, in my opinion, quite poorly. And I know some people like the kind of action-filled last 2 episodes, but I didn't really. The show had failed to build up stakes over that season to get you really involved and really invested in the final 2 episodes, and it's just not. It wasn't very good as far as I'm concerned. And when you then take into account the Book of Boba Fett, which was a mess, Obi-Wan Kenobi, which was genuinely the worst made piece of Star Wars IP that's ever been made. I mean, it's really badly put together. And then factor in on top of that just the writing in it, Book of Boba Fett again, all over the place. The Marvel shows haven't produced any. Well, I suppose you could even. The production quality on She-Hulk was a lot better than it was on Obi-Wan Kenobi. So it has that going for it. But that's still kind of a badly written show. And so the quality's kind of been going downhill. I mean, we had first season of Loki, which I liked, and then we had WandaVision, which I liked as well. Now I know some people who are kind of OG fans of the comics and of the character don't like the first season of Loki. So we'll have to see how they'll react to the season 2. But as someone who was never really into kind of the Marvel comics, I liked Marvel comics in general. I liked season 1 of Loki. It was well made. I thought pretty well written, well acted. Again, there were some criticisms around the Loki character that I now accept, that he's a bit of a damn squib compared to what he is in the movies or in the show. But But outside of that, those were, along with WandaVision, were well made. They didn't appear to suffer, in my view, from not having the production budget necessary. But then, and that is the not then that is the context by which I review this show. The quality of the content from Disney Plus is either has it has failed to maintain that quality. It's failed to maintain the quality of the first 2 seasons of The Mandalorian. It has failed to maintain the quality of Loki or WandaVision. The quality has just gotten worse and worse and worse. Now, it's mostly down to writing, but in the case of kind of Obi-Wan Kenobi, the production quality was quite bad on that as well. Now, in relation to this show, therefore, my expectations in relation to Ahsoka are quite low. And with the only, in my view, kind of upside we've seen since the Loki season 1 and WandaVision was Andor, which I thought was very well made and a bit slow. You know, they probably should have released the first two or three episodes together, but obviously they wanted to spread it out over a number of weeks to get maximum views and maximum kind of subscriber retention. But outside of that, it's been of the content from Disney Plus that I watch, which basically means MCU stuff and Star Wars stuff. The quality has been, in writing terms, in a tailspin for some time. And while season 3 of The Mandalorian is certainly better made than Obi-Wan Kenobi was, it's, you know, the quality hasn't declined that to that low state since Obi-Wan. It certainly, in the case of Secret Invasion, I don't know where the money went. It didn't look cheap, and it wasn't poorly made the way Obi-Wan Kenobi was. But if they spent 200 million on that, they spent 200 million on a kind of, on what's effectively supposed to be an action spectacle show, because it's MCU, that has no real action and spectacle in it. When it does, it looks cheap. So right off the bat, this show looks much better made than Secret Wars and Obi-Wan Kenobi. How much of it they're doing in the volume? I mean, I could go back over both episodes to check and see how much of it is in the volume or not. Like, trying to really pay attention and take notes and kind of, you know, yeah, that's in the volume, that's in the volume, that's in the volume. I would imagine most of the kind of more outside environments that look a bit too sci-fi spacey to have been made using real practical sets is probably volume, but it looked fine to me. It didn't bother me. I watched it in 4K. It looked perfectly good. I couldn't tell you how much they spent on the show so far, but if it was around the same kind of money they spent on Secret Invasion, they've already spent it much better than they did on Secret Invasion. So, in terms, again, I've gone for almost 10 minutes now. In terms of the quality of the production, it's there. In terms of the writing, it seems perfectly serviceable. I know Filoni, I believe, did he write or direct every episode of this show? I don't know. I don't think he directed the final episodes, but I think he might have written them. And I'm going to have to maybe go back, watch some more of his animated shows. Star Wars Rebels, and so, which I've seen previously, Clone Wars. I'm not going to go that far back. I consider the last 2 episodes, the last season of the Clone Wars, to be some of the best Star Wars content that's been ever made. With Ahsoka, just great stuff. I really like it, and the Bad Batch animated show has not been terribly successful ratings wise. but I found it to be serviceable enough. Again, there's an unfortunate propensity, and this is also true season 1 and 2 of The Mandalorian, to having kind of unnecessary filler episodes that don't need to be there, and having episodes lengths that, in my view, are unnecessarily short. And that's true of both The Mandalorian season 1 and 2, and it's also true of the animated show. It's certainly true of the Bad Batch. I hope they don't make that mistake here. First episode is episode 1 of Ahsoka is 54 minutes long. Episode 2 is a little over 40. There's a total of 8 episodes in the season, so we've got 6 to go. So my hope is they're not going to spend the rest of the season kind of, what's the word for it, skimping on the runtime to save money. So we're not going to be in a situation where the next episode is going to be half an hour long, or the episode of that is going to be 34 minutes long. I don't want any of that. They need to be making, appointment television if they want to get subscribers and maintain them. And this kind of 30-minute runtime is just, in my opinion, utterly unacceptable. But it looks well put together. The special effects are great. The acting is perfectly, like, I have so far no one has stood out as being a kind of a net negative in any way. I was a bit concerned about who they cast as General Syndulla. Her name now escapes me, but she is so far perfectly serviceable in the role, although I haven't watched Rebels in some time. Sabine Wren also seems to be perfectly well cast. Ray Stevenson so far has been as Balin something or other. Again, I forget the full character's name. He's perfectly serviceable as well. He's got, that kind of size to him, which kind of obviously helps with, giving him a formidable presence. His apprentice slash Padawan, a name of the character and name of the actress, again, I can't remember, is also pretty good. So, all things considered, again, it's a much better start off the gate than season 3 of The Mandalorian, but that was a mess pretty much across the board. So this is a step in the right direction, but whether it'll be enough, again, there's a lot of damage has been done to the Star Wars IP since Disney bought it. And I'm not really sure if this show is going to be capable of the kind of bite they would have gotten, for instance, in the original trilogy, or even in the sequel trilogy as well, because of now who owns it. Because again, Disney's content has a propensity towards the consequencelessness and just being rather beige. So how this will pan out, I don't know. But so far, so good. Now, I will say that certainly the impression of Andor is that it's a much better production value show, because they clearly did a lot more location shooting and they took advantage of that. The planet they're on initially, where they're not, well, the planet that they do the bank raid on, where they're on for a significant chunk of that show, allows them to, which is all location shooting. I think they did it in Scotland somewhere. I could be wrong on that, but somewhere in the UK. It gives you kind of a sense of realistic scale, those big open environments that we've not had from anything else in the Star Wars content, certainly in streaming anyway, to date. Now, whether we'll get anything like that from this, I don't know. But it could end up becoming something of an indicator as to how good a Star Wars show is going to be, is whether it's filmed in the US or filmed in the UK. Kind of hilarious if Andor's physical distance from Lucasfilm is one of the reasons why it was good as it was. But anyway, So far, so good. I don't know how anyone who hasn't seen the animated shows, particularly Rebels or the Clone Wars TV show, will react to this. Because if you don't know the background at all and you're not vested in the characters at all, like personally, emotionally vested in them, I mean, how are you going to care about Ezra Bridger if you know nothing about him? But outside of that, looks real nice, which it should be said, season 3 of Mandalorian did as well. So far, it's much better put together than Obi-Wan Kenobi, but again, the considered amount of money that was probably spent on Obi-Wan, that's probably the worst piece of big budget content out of Hollywood in terms of the quality of the production in quite some time. So that's not saying much. And so the bar has been lowered quite a bit. And so, am I thinking this is better than it actually is as a result? Or I don't know. I'm not necessarily, to be clear, excited to see what happens next, which is maybe a problem in terms of audience retention or building up momentum and building up hype for the show. But hopefully it will improve. There's 6 episodes left, 1 episode a season, or one episode a week. So that means we've got 6 weeks of the show to go, a little over a month. We'll have to see how things pan out. But so far, it's a step in the right direction. If the rumors that are being reported on online about people at Disney, that Disney now with Iger back in charge is going through Lucasfilm and basically booting anyone that Kathleen Kennedy hired for if they can have an excuse to get rid of them, that they were doing something, that would justify them being fired. If that turns out to be true, and it turns out that Kennedy is not getting her contract removed, and so her foul presence within Lucasfilm may be coming to an end, maybe this is kind of the first, what's the word for it? The first piece of Star Wars IP where her influence was either negligible or non-existent, and it might be the beginning of 10 years we might come back and look at this and see this is the turning point for the Star Wars IP in terms of the quality of the content being made. But maybe not, we'll have to see. But again, just the stuff has been so poor. Boba Fett, Mandalorian season 3, Obi-Wan Kenobi, god, really, I mean, again, fingers crossed in the extreme, but even if the show ends up being quite good, they're going to need probably a decade worth of good content to rebuild the IP. And that's going to take some time and some money. Whether Disney will still exist by then, if depending again the other rumors you hear about them losing money and so on, talks of a merger with Apple, who knows? We'll have to see. But hopefully, fingers crossed, this is a what is it? A preview of better things to come. Anyway, I've been meandering on a bit too long. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments on these 2 first episodes. And if you haven't, for some strange reason, already not subscribed to the channel, please do so. Please ring the bell for notifications, and to maximize engagement and helping with the algorithm, comment and like the video. This is DafubFilm&TV signing off. Toodaloo.